tonight. This is really a share hour. I would love to just say, and I'll probably repeat it a couple other times, but like honestly, I really just want if you feel called to share and want to talk about your experience, would love to hear it. This space really is for that. I'm here to facilitate and set some stuff up and punch it up with some cool things, but I would really love to listen more than I talk. I talk all the time. Not that I mind talking, but this is a really shared space. And um, one thing that I'm gonna let a couple people in. Um, I'm just really proud. I'd love to just talk about who's here. I'm really proud to share this space with femmes and neurodivergent folks who carry the memory of gathering in our bones. Like, we are gathering here in this space. We could be doing 1,000 other things tonight, but really the idea of getting together in a collective community as women to pour into each other and to not do this life alone. Um, Also really proud to stand behind really tender-hearted people, really bold people, queer people, colorful people, loud people, people of color, first generation trailblazers, those living with illness or disability, the fat liberation queens. We've got survivors in this space. We've got highly sensitive souls, the ones feeling all the 36 senses. We've got wildly creative spirits in this house. We've got misfits in this house, people who is extra AF as in this house. And everyone's really seen and celebrated here. The idea really is like, women have gathered, all of us, unique people, all of us unicorns in our own right. And we really are gathering so that the idea of like women across generations, we are the keepers of memory and we show each other codes. And there are people who have come before us. This is a multi-generational space. I don't know how many people realize that really in this space we have women of all different ages, which is very cool, very cool. um I have somebody who just messaged me. She's trying to join, so I want to make sure that she gets in. Okay, I just added her, so she's in here. Um, Also, we have sisters with us here tonight who have carried the breadth of human experience. So we've got all the way from grief to joy, and mothers who are raising children and not having to do it alone when we gather in these spaces. I mean, think I'm not a mom, but I have been around plenty of women who, if it weren't for their sisters, they would not know the way in some cases. For me, I'll say alone, so much of my life has been impacted by the women who are willing to like pull back the curtain and share the code with me. We've also got the messages of each of us, generations of ancestors that are just like whispering their stories to us that we get to share with each other. So I hope that we feel safe to do that. Also, you're safe to not share if you don't want to share. You don't have to be on camera. You can just receive gold tonight, and like really feel poured into. This space really carries the lineage of all of that. And the idea really is to be a return where this is older than rules. This is older than shame. This is like multi-generational truth that we get to share here. Survival, joy, like collective work. And so I really want us to all just feel so safe. I want to see you. I want you to see me without the mask, without the filter. This is a practice, ground for this. Honoring every story in this room and every single body in this room, and remembering that the years that we have lived are part of something greater, and it's exciting to be able to be here, and what a blessing to be able to do that together. um we don't have to carry any of this alone, and we get to create together. So we get to remember together too. So I would love to just say welcome to everyone who's here. Tonight, we're going to be talking about eldest daughter and ADHD and how they converge in the wild wood. Some things that we're going to be talking about tonight. We can talk. You can, if you do want to share tonight, comment, share now in the comments. I'll do plenty of calls throughout this. So if you want to like pipe in and chat with someone, like keep the comments alive. I'll be sending some little prompts your way too. Some things we'll talk about tonight. So your experience with eldest daughter energy and how that looks in your life. Also, what you're working on this month. If you just are like, hey, I don't want to talk about eldest daughter, but also like, here's some things that I'm really excited about, and I just want to tell somebody. Maybe it's the things that you want to call in this next month. Like, okay, no shit, this is what I want for my life in this month, and I'm going to say it out loud, and I want everybody to just like send the good vibes my way for that. Share that too if you want to take some time to share that. Releasing, what are you releasing this every month, every day, every moment? There's a lesson, right? Where it's like, okay, I know I've learned from all of these experiences that I've had up to this second, what am I letting go of that's no longer mine? What am I releasing that doesn't serve me? Um, Also growth. Where have you grown this month that you're like, hell yeah, there's evidence, and I'm gonna call it out and I'm gonna celebrate it, this growth that I've had in the last month. Or maybe just like you're just realizing it's been here for a while and you want to share. Any kind of shares in sisterhood. I could share about 1,000 ways that I've really felt poured into this month by other women in my life. One of which is my sister Brie, who's on the call tonight. Um, Damn it, I'm getting choked up.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
that there's anything wrong with that, but like our dad just finished his chemo treatments this month. Hell yes, we're so excited about that. She and I recorded a podcast together this month that's all around this. My sister, she's the eldest sister, and um, having this conversation as the youngest daughter, very cool for me to get to experience. My other sister, Sarah, she's on the call too tonight. She's my sister-in-law. She listened to the podcast and was like, wow, I'm so grateful to be in the energy of like this type of conversation. It's very helpful for me. Like, she's having her own experiences. Brie was so great the other day to share really vulnerably, like, I'm new at this. Like there, and that's kind of this space. It's like there are some of us. I pulled something up that I would love to read, and then I would love to just pass it on for us to open up for whoever wants to share. Also, if you have any support needs this month, let us know. If you're like, hey, I could really use this month from people in this space, please feel free to share that. If you want to share any plans for how you want to have fun, enjoy, and play in your life, or like demonstrate how you do it, like please also do that. Really the idea of eldest daughter, and then let's just open this thing up. um Again, if you would, thank you also, Rachel, for my office comment. I love my office wallpaper also. And thank you, Lela, for being here. I'm so glad she's in Hawaii, I think. And so I'm so glad you're here. Ashley, also, thanks for the woo. I saw that came through around my dad comment, so thank you for that. The idea of eldest daughter, I don't have to tell any of you this on the call, but really being like you're the one who sees what others miss. Often you're very intuitive, you're very responsible, you're quick into leadership. You have this also unique lens with ADHD that you can, it's like the sensory experience of the anticipation and the showing up is different. Like, being the emotional barometer. Oh, she says she's back from Hawaii. Leila's back from Hawaii. Thank you for being here. Kind of the emotional barometer in the room. Someone who's able to adapt on the fly, bring creativity and humor into heavy situations. Like literally, you're the anchor, you're the spark. You create safety in environments of chaos. Again, like really anticipating needs before they're even voiced. Like be like energetically staying ready. Do you know what I mean? So like energy strategist here for ADHDers, and I'm hearing very like on top of it energy that's like showing up in a way that maybe doesn't slow down, maybe doesn't always honor you. So you've got like these two expressions of eldest daughter syndrome. You've got the healthy healed version, which really is derived from a place of like deep love. Like a lot of times we talk about these things and it's like feels very shamey and blamey, like, oh, damn it, I'm screwing up another thing, like going too hard for people. But no, it's like these are great qualities. let's talk about how to provide that balance in your life that feels good for you individually so that you're not overextending, so that you are having energy for yourself and like budgeting that before you give it away to everyone else. You know, you being the one who can hold big visions, big feelings of lots of people. And the idea of like, these are all great things, but the flip side is if these gifts get hijacked, or if you allow if you allow your power to be shared in other places, like what a gift, this can also lead to, you know, being hijacked by conditioning or overstretched ADHD challenges on top of that. You know, you're already potentially operating with lower executive function and energy and all these things. And so when you tack on top of that things like rejection, sensitivity, driving, you know, the idea of like, I don't want to be rejected, so then I do these things, you know, that can also have an impact on your energy, on the idea of like self honor or self abandon. um Overdriving, this is like becoming the default adult in every room, even when you're exhausted, measuring your worth by how you manage everything else in the world, you know, like, so it's not really, as far as I'm concerned. And then I'd love to just pass it off, and of course, Brie, if you would love to pop in. um Really just the idea of like, this is not a, kind of like being a people pleaser. People talk a lot of shit on people pleasers, like, oh, she's a people. It's like, no, this is a person who's like deeply feeling, is like really here to show up for people. It's a beautiful expression of love and connection. Also, though, sometimes it can, you know, when it goes too far, what does that cost? And really, that's only defined by you individually. So I'd like to hear your experiences with Eldest Daughter. Brie, would you like to kick us off? And then if anybody else wants to share in the comments, you could have shared already before. There's none of those rules. It's like, well, I don't want to. No, if you're having feelings, tap into that vibe and let's talk. But if you're feeling like just receiving, like I said before, you can just receive. Brie, would you like to join us on the chat?
Sure.
Okay, I'll spotlight you.
So this my camera did something very weird and I don't know what's happening.
You're
Whatever.
looking good.
Hey, thanks. It's
I'm
nice
not
of
even
you.
seeing anything wrong.
Oh, it's all on my side. Anyway, so I literally am the eldest daughter
Hmm.
in this part of the family before we all got blended and everything. Um, and it was pretty early that, well, I don't remember a time that I wasn't doing the here you go, saging while I'm talking again, Michelle.
I don't know. It's just a thing to do.
So I very early took on this role of peacekeeper and bridge person. And in the podcast, I don't know if anybody's gotten to listen to it, but in that we talked about how that wasn't placed upon me. No one made me become this person. It just was a thing that I kind of took on. I sort of adopted, and it literally has become my whole identity. And like I said to Michelle in the podcast, I'm brand new at trying to figure out what the hell that all means and what I'm supposed to do with that and how to honor that piece of myself, but also work through it because it can't be the only thing I am. I can't spend my whole life taking care of making sure everyone else is at peace. It also is exhausting because I'm also taking care of my actual life and the people, my family, and all of that. So I'm learning how to speak what I need and how to manage my own energy because I never have learned how to do that. All of my energy has always been put into making sure the people that I care about are okay or that they are understanding each other's communication and not ever really worried about my own communication with them or how if they're even looking at my communication or paying attention to mine. So this is all brand new for me. And I encourage you to go listen to the podcast because I had my thoughts and feelings much more lined out. Um, but I would also really like to hear other people's experiences. And I think I also said in the podcast, if you're farther in this journey than I am, I really am interested to hear what you've done, what work you've done. I've been doing crazy shadow work. I've been doing all sorts of things to try to honor that little kid that never got to talk and never got to speak up for herself. But if you guys, if
Mhm.
anybody in here is farther along in that, I would love to hear it. I've got my notepad right beside me ready to go. So I can give specifics and all of that. But if you've experienced eldest daughter, if you are eldest daughter syndrome or experiencing that, I can tell stories and we're all going to have the same stories. I imagine
Mm.
similar, you know? So
Yeah.
I'm excited to, and please ask questions if you want to, but I want to hear what everyone else's experiences have been, especially in the healing side. And then I'd also like to know if there are any moms who have their own daughters or even their own kids, because that part is such a big deal to me in my own parenting journey. And I have 3 girls, and how I'm speaking to them and how I'm teaching them, there's a fine line between being a caring person and completely abandoning your own needs,
Mhm.
especially if you're a people pleaser or the eldest daughter or whatever. So yeah,
Yeah.
I would love to open it up and hear what other people have to say, and maybe we'll spark some conversation that way.
Yeah. So Rachel raised her hand earlier, but she also shouted you out, said awareness is such an amazing step. Proud of you,
Thank you.
Brie. So
I
little
would
shout
love
out.
to see that, but something happened to my chat, and I'm telling you,
That's
something
okay. You're doing fine. Like here, I'll put Rachel. Are you still good to share?
Yeah, absolutely. I some
cool.
reason got kicked out and back in. So,
She's back.
Right on.
hello. Hi, Mo. It's so good to see you. And gosh, I feel like I was like a shell of the person that I am when I last spoke with you. So I'm so glad I got to hop on finally because there's a time difference between us now. Brie, I just wanted to say thank you so much for sharing, because when you're aware of the thing that feels heavy, or like when you're aware of what role you've been playing your whole life, like that's when you actually get to do something about it. A lot of people go their whole life just kind of like on autopilot. And so I'm actually the youngest daughter, but I had to grow up really, really fast. Everyone thinks I'm the oldest daughter because my parents were absent for many, many reasons. And so I totally, totally get that. I was also similar, very differently, like I was a really weird kid and I was always told like I was too much, so then I was conditioned to like not be the one that raised my hand, like not be the one that said anything. And so I just wanted to again mirror, like I'm so proud of you for even asking like for feedback, asking for people to contribute to the conversation, because that's how we learn, that's how we grow. This year, Mo was my very first coach. Like, gosh, I she carried me through when I was scared to post on Instagram. Now I'm posting about faking orgasms on Instagram. Like,
Yes, girl.
like it's just like
Yes.
crazy the amount of change. And so I really just wanted to say, one, it starts with awareness, and I've done a tremendous amount of embodiment this year, and that's something that changed my life. I learned so many modalities. I learned so much from Mo, from other coaches. And then I'd be like, damn, like, why isn't anything changing? But I didn't actually like start to embody the work up until earlier this year, and that's when my life started to transform. And so I don't know what that exactly might look like for you, um, but NLP techniques and really just using like visualization exercises, a lot of subconscious rewiring, a lot of these tools have like completely cracked me open into the woman that I am now, and it's been life changing. So I just wanted to one, say hello, and to say I'm proud of you for sharing and bringing that awareness.
Thank you. That's
Mm.
awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I was writing down what you were saying too, these different
I
ideas
put
of,
a couple notes in the chat. Can
oh yeah,
before you
perfect.
respond, I do want to just share everybody. Rachel is a holistic health coach. Yes, she's totally
Nice.
badass. If Rachel, you want to share any of your all of your things, please feel free to share in the chat. Also, just
Yeah.
an amazing person to follow and has a podcast that's so kick ass. So anyway,
Thank
I'll
you.
stop. I'll stop. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. So I'm a holistic health coach. I focus on mindset coaching. A lot of the women I worked with have had trouble with addiction. Autoimmune disease is almost like a symptom now of the women that I work with. And I
Mhm.
realized that because I had so many addiction issues, because I outsourced my worth, my validation, outsourced everything, that I got so fucking sick and I felt like a stranger in my own life. And so now I help women really see what does their dream look like and how can we actually get there? Like how can we actually step into that? And I mean, if you ask Mo, like I don't even recognize myself from even the last time I spoke with her. Like I was like,
Yeah.
Mo, I'm so scared. Like, and so, yeah, I'm also a podcast host for Be Fucking For Real podcast, From Pain to Purpose. I help women really transmute their pain into their greatest purpose because I all think we experience our pain for a reason. Like Brie, you've been through everything you've been through for a reason. Mo, everyone on this call has their life experience because it has a purpose. Like pain does not come without a purpose. And so that's my big thing. That's what I anchor in. And so I'll drop my handle in the chat if anyone wants to follow or tune into my podcast. But thank you for letting me share. And I'm happy I was finally able to join and connect with all you amazing women.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad too. And you know, the idea of exactly what you just said, like pain to purpose. We also, when we experience pain, especially people who feel called to be a coach, you're like, oh my gosh, I have to tell everyone, first of all, what to avoid. I found out. And also, oh my gosh, this is like a life hack. Oh my gosh, this is gonna change this is gonna change everything. You know, so I just love that you followed that call and believed in yourself and gave yourself the tools you needed, girl. You're crushing it.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. And thank you for being such a huge part of it. My first and biggest cheerleader, sending you
Oh,
so much love.
thank you so much. It was seriously such an honor. Brie, do you have anything you'd like to say back to Rachel? And then Lela
Yeah,
would like to share.
real quick, I want to touch on that pain to purpose idea because I think with eldest daughter or with the caretaker role or whatever, the one who's always thinking or always doing for other people, it is really, really hard to not fall into a victim role
Hmm.
and not to fall into a, if I care this much, why does nobody else care this much? Or why am I not getting the same? That is it though. The whole idea is that pain to purpose. There's a reason that this is the role that we've taken on, or that this is the role that has been given to us, or whatever. We are living it for a reason. And that purpose has been a really big thing for me because I have kind of fallen in the past. I've fallen into that real thin fine line of feeling like a victim or feeling like it's just not fair and whatever. And I wish I wasn't that person. And that doesn't do a thing to serve us. So when we can take it, Michelle, you've used this term a lot, radical acceptance. I accept radically who I am and that is such a huge piece of who I am. I am the person that's going to try to resolve conflict. I am the person that's going to put out that extra little bit of effort if I see someone that I care about struggling like that. Um, and it hurts when that doesn't get brought back to me. But there is a reason that I am that person. And I can radically accept what I can control too. And so that's a big thing. You asked what people are working on. A big thing I have been working on, especially in the last 2 or 3 weeks specifically, which is interesting, is that idea of what can I do with what I have felt? How can I use that to push and propel myself forward in my healing journey, in my understanding myself journey, in my overall purpose journey? Because that's what I want out of this. My goal right now is figure out my purpose or figure out how to use what I already know to have a better understanding of myself, or better honor myself. So I really like what you said about pain to purpose specifically. I think
Hmm.
that's cool and
I think
smart.
you're
And
gonna
it,
like a lot of things Rachel has to say. Please,
I
everyone, go
kind of
follow
get that vibe
Rachel.
too.
She's ultra and not just inspiring but like activating as f so just so you know, uh and anybody who has tips, thoughts, hacks for Brie, also Nice Girl Detox is on Facebook. I'll put it in the chat if you are not familiar with it, but that's a place you can go and hang out. So if you want to, like, throughout the month we'll be talking about this, and so share your reflections. I'll make a post, but you can also like just do it anywhere. And sending some love to Brie. I'm gonna bring Lela up our girl from Hawaii, fresh from Hawaii, this glowing queen. Look at her go. Literally sent her a private chat. I was like, oh my God, you look so good.
Much fresh off that plane. I'm so glad I'm here tonight.
Me
And like,
too.
holy cheekbones, Brie and Mo. Like, bone structure
Oh,
are just fantastic.
Oh
Oh
my
my gosh, love it.
Thank you.
I'll try to be as quick as possible. But so I am not only the eldest daughter, but I'm the eldest granddaughter, eldest cousin. And my grandfather, my dad's dad, worked for the last king of Ethiopia. So whenever we came to this country, I was just expected to fall into perfectionism and knowing that everything that I do just kind of set a footprint or a blueprint for the rest of the family. And since I was young, I was just had to be implicitly perfect, like doing all the things that I needed to do because I was a representation of everyone in my family. And I think as I got older, I had this struggle of like, is this my desire or am I fulfilling someone else's, right? Which I think that not only, you know, eldest daughters, but women in general go through that. And doing a lot of work on myself. And I'm so excited that Mo had this as a subject today because I feel like I'm on the other side now. And one of the best things that I've done is really take care of myself in the most minuscule ways. I will block my calendar for a self-care day and work knows like I am out of office this day because it's just for me, or I do push presents for myself. Like every quarter, I'm like, yeah, you survived, whether I did well or not, like I survived it, right? So I will go and buy myself a gift or, go and get a massage or, spend money on a dinner, whatever it is, but just knowing that my version of perfect doesn't have to match everyone else's. And that's like totally okay. And whenever I accepted that, I feel like my life just got easier, not better, but just easier, right? Like you cannot determine what failure is for me. And your over critique of me is just a projection of what you wanted to accomplish but failed at. And that's unfortunate, but that's not for me to satisfy. And so
That's good.
yeah. So like I am just on this, like I'm just happy within myself and not that I don't have bad days, clearly I still fuck up, right? But I know that that's just like a drop of the bucket of all the good that I have to give to this world. So that's just my little advice being on the other side of the wall.
awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Treat yourself.
Well,
Yeah.
What we got to do.
I love what you just said too of like, we like, I'll be sending some things out. You guys just wait. And first of all, I think Lela, you and Sade recommended Eldest Daughter. So
Yeah.
this podcast happened because of you. This is a co-creation. So, you've really poured a lot into this community. So knowing what I really value your energy and your heart and your mind and all that you put into your relationships. And so I just really want to thank you and Rachel and everybody who's here tonight too, because just you like being in this energy is like very, I feel that as a gift and you are sharing and you are making this what it is. So thank you for that. And also just, I value you so much. So thank you for, helping create this, number one, but also like you're really sharing some hot tips. The idea of like, you know, who am I doing anything in life for? Always a great question. It's just like, what a good, like universal, you could stop and ask yourself every day with almost everything you're doing. This is like also nice girl detox is good girl conditioning detox for real. Like it's the idea of like how much of my life experience is being lived because of something that I picked up that I don't even, if I really stop and think about it, I don't know that I actually want to do that. or
Mhm.
or I think I do want to do that. That is connected with a value of mine, but I'm going to do it different. And so I also love that you shared that piece of it because we have the idea of like in life with things that we talked about this with like even invisible labor, the idea of like doing a little evaluation. Do I want to keep this? Do I want to drop this? do I want to share this,
Mhm.
checking in with yourself, checking in with how you want to label it. If it is aligned with my values, hell yeah, let's keep doing it. So like what you're talking about really is the idea of like energy credits. How can I pour into my life so that I can show up for what I really want to show up for? So I just think what great leadership that you're demonstrating, and how good that can feel. How was that at first for you, if you don't mind me asking? Do you
It
care if I
was
keep going here for
so, yeah, no, it was so unnerving. And I'll even get like a little bit more vulnerable whenever I decided not to have a child. I was
Mm,
like, I just want to be the village of all my friends that have kids, but I also want to be able to do whatever I want and get out of my uterus all at the same time, right? Like,
100%.
and I think that, being again, going through that lineage of like African daughter, it was just so um unintentionally disrespectful to say that out loud. Like, how dare I
Yeah.
almost not want my
Very
lineage to continue? And honestly, that just was not something that I even cared about exploring. Like, it's,
Mhm.
this has nothing to do with me, what happened before me. Again, I understand my privilege and where I came from, but who says that my impact on the world has to be defined by the offspring that I bring in? And like, I just feel like I'm just more than, a mom. And not to diminish any moms out there, that's not at all what I'm saying. Just want to make sure I quote that. I think moms are very important,
Yeah.
but for me, I do not think that my only narrative in life is to take care of someone that looks like me. I can take care of people regardless of beliefs, age, where they grew up, and all of that. So that was my, first like real, moment of like kind of standing out outside of the crowd, especially with my family. And it took a little bit for them to accept it. But then after a while, they just realized like, she's not changing her mind. So to not further a boundary with me, they just had to accept it. And I mean, we're fine.
Mhm.
Like, my parents see me all the time. They know, they tell their friends like, Leila's not having a kid. She's great. She's doing well. But yeah, I had to set those boundaries of anyone that didn't accept what I thought perfect was for my life.
Mm. Way to really like it takes a lot. I would love to hear what you think too, Brie, but I'm a person who's chosen not to have children, and maybe that's an idea one day, because honestly, the idea of like ADHD and having kids too, that was a whole thing for me as well, so like lots of things to consider when you're bringing in new energy in your life. So maybe we can talk one day about like children, the not having of, and then also the having of, and how that comes together with ADHD. And I could talk. Brie, do you have anything you'd like to share back with Lela before we have a couple shares that are in queue? Anything you want to share or talk
I
about with Lela?
mean, you brought up the boundaries, and that's how you started, was really starting to define some boundaries. And again, I keep going back to things I said in the podcast, but one of the things I talked about with Michelle in the podcast was how when Michelle decided to make radical changes to her life, it deeply impacted me. But one of the things Michelle said, and I told her, I said, you said this word so many times, I started fucking hating this word. And that was the word boundaries. And I mean, again, I am eldest daughter, I am people pleaser, I am all like deep empath. I'm all these things that there is not a word in the dictionary that I understood less than the word boundaries. And this fool was throwing it out like the best word she's ever used. And I'm like, if you say that goddamn word one more time,
Yeah.
I'm gonna lose my
I,
shit.
I was like launching atomic bombs. I
I'm
was yelling at
telling
it
you, yeah,
also,
yeah.
and I was like, all I could, all I was like, oh, I'm gonna really be,
I mean,
you know,
like, she
I did
was
it hard.
blowing shit up and
Yeah,
roasting marshmallows on the fire. She was
yeah.
in it. And I'm over here like,
I was scared.
oh, what in the hell is
Yeah.
this? And talk about some healing. It's taken a while to heal from all of that. And I'm not saying that's Michelle's fault. I'm saying like
Mm-hmm.
this for me, from my experience, watching her experience was like, I was so taken aback by these boundaries and this idea that like, to hell with everybody else. If you don't respect my boundaries, you don't get to be a part of this. And it
Yeah.
felt awful. And now that we're past all that, and I'm looking at it from this understanding of like, you just are gonna have to figure that out. Like, they don't deserve it if they can't. Now,
And
I'm
it's
saying
not your job to help them figure it
right,
out.
right, right.
Yeah.
And hear me, I'm saying those words like I still understand them, and I promise you I still don't.
Yeah.
But it does help me to understand that to hear someone who's gone through it and is on the other side of it saying that is such a key. You've got to set those boundaries and understand there are going to be people who hate it. In fact, I think I'd venture to say for lifelong people pleasers, you're probably catching more hell for finally setting those boundaries than the people who've always kind of pushed that envelope.
Yeah.
And that's terrifying for me. I'm
Mhm.
scared to death of what that response will be. For the people who I do love and care about, like
Yeah.
my parents, I love them so much, but I am terrified of what will happen when the person who's always fallen in line doesn't fall in line. So it is helpful. And I'm glad that your parents have stepped up. And I don't, honest to God, my parents have never given me a reason to think that they aren't going to step right in line and go, like, they'll
Right.
push back. But, it's just, God, that's so scary. That's such a scary thing for me.
Yeah. And to
I'm
speak
so
on
proud of you for doing it.
Thanks. And just to touch on what you said, like, your parents who you've known clearly your entire life, right? I read this quote one time and it's like, you are the person that you know your entirety of your life. So why would you not put yourself first? And
Right.
like treating me as a person, right? Like not just me as me, but like, is Lela happy? And talking in third person is cringe, but it worked for
I
me.
love
Like,
it. I think it's
like
great.
is Lela, like, have I satisfied Lela? Is Lela also happy? And if that was constantly no, maybe that person wasn't the person that I wanted to receive constructive criticism from, but yeah, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Mo,
Thank
thank
you.
you for
That's
having
awesome.
me.
Yeah, and you take up in this space, we take up as much time as we want. We drink it up, we go slow like honey, and we can,
Yeah.
so we are here, we are just like soaking it up. I am gonna pop you off. Thank you for sharing as always, and I'm glad that you're home, but I'm also super stoked to see all your pictures. Okay, I'm gonna remove Lela from the spotlight, but also I wanted to share a little fun fact and then talk about some of the comments and then get to Ashley Lundblade from Lundhouse Productions. So research shows that women are twice as likely, especially eldest daughters, to have anxiety disorders and higher stress and burnout rates. I'm sure this is not shocking to you, but if you add then into that ADHD, rejection sensitivity, driving people pleasing, also time blindness that leads to overcommitment, perfectionism that spirals into imposter syndrome. This is like overfunctioning till you collapse territory. And instead of being equal partner, you become caretaker, or at work, maybe you're signing up for all those non-promotable jobs, those things that, at the end of the year when they're going line by line about who gets promoted and who gets a raise, those are not things on the list, but you do them and it moves things forward, right? So just throwing that out there, as just some things to be thinking about, like where else can this exist in your mind? Also, Rachel, our holistic health coach queen, she said, have you played that scenario out or given yourself the best worst case scenario? And I love that as a comment, like the idea of like, okay, what if somebody does leave my life? Because that is the fear, right? The fear is if I finally ask for what I need in this, sometimes, not always, we all have different fears, but one being they leave, that my overfunctioning is the only thing holding this ship together. And we can say all day, well, oh, you don't want to be with those people then. And ultimately that's the truth, but it hurts. And you're like, how long have we done this? And that can also be tough. So I just want to throw that out there. Also, Sade lights up the comment section. Love that. Thank you for being just like, I feel you when you're here. Also, she says that it doesn't get any easier with the boundaries, constant violations. And I would say that one of the things that I love so much about that comment is that setting a boundary is first step. Enforcing the boundary is the second, and it's not, hey, this is what I'm going to do to you, and I know that a lot of us know that, but like, what are you going to do when your boundary is violated, and what does that look like? And what's cool is like, go ahead and have that plan figured out so that when it does happen, you know what to do. And it could even just be as light as reminding someone, hey, I'm sure, hold them in the best light. I know this is new for you, this is a new habit. You didn't do it. So like, what do we, you think you could go ahead and honor that next time? Or I'm gonna let it be just this conversation, and this is what that is. Or maybe if it's you asking someone, maybe you've passed off a task to someone, you're like, I'm not doing this anymore. And it happens again, and what's the repair language, so you guys can meet and talk about it. So boundaries are it's okay to like do them and suck, and it's okay to go to a person and say, I don't know how to say this, but here's what I need. You want to, like, we're in a partnership together, especially if you're married or this is a close friend. Here's what I'm needing. Can you help me figure out how we can do this in a way that honors us both? Like, I also like to play with the harshest version of myself. Like, what would she say right now? And then I'm like, well, I'm not going to say that to the person. And then I think about the version of me that's like gives people too much grace and not going to do that. So like, where do you land in the boundary territory, and just like let yourself find it. So, okay, I'm going to
Well,
move
that was
in.
something I'd said in the podcast too. I had mentioned, like, when you're first starting out with the boundaries thing, like I am, I think it is really important to give yourself grace, and to the people who are working to understand your boundaries and things, remember to give them grace too, because they're going to forget, or if you've decided to make this switch and you've not communicated these things with people, they're not going to be as, they're not just going to jump on board and know
It
that
changes the
there was a
dynamic.
new expectation. Yeah.
Yeah, it's real, and it changes the dynamic, and it changes the rules, and sometimes that can be an adjustment for people. Or like what you said earlier, you felt like I was setting off bombs with my boundaries, and it just felt really harsh. And I was.
Yeah.
I felt so strongly about it that I really slammed the point home, and you and I have had to work on repair within our relationship as a result, and that's also okay.
Yeah.
you know it's it and we stay committed, and that looks different in different seasons too, so
Yeah.
I really love a lot of what you shared on the podcast. And one thing I really like about it is, like, in this call right now, we have people who are super experienced with eldest daughter and the healthy expression of it, and also those who are like, I have had times when it has been rough, and so there's a lot of people in this space who even if you're not the eldest daughter, if you've taken on the role as like emotional barometer caretaker, intuitive energy anticipating, like, you don't have to be the eldest daughter to like identify with some of these things. So also love what Vicky said. She said, you have
Yeah.
the right to change your boundaries. You have the right to change everything. You have the right to come here tomorrow and say, I changed my name to Mo to a lot of people, and that was a big problem. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm called Michelle my whole life, but also it's my nickname. And I think I'd just rather people say that. My mom had a big problem with that. Will not call you Mo. But it feels like who I am, and it's like, fine, don't. But we've had chats. So Ashley, you said you have a story to share. Would you still like to hop on? And yep, I'm Mo
Whoa.
forever. I'm
I'm
gonna
s-
put you
looks
on
like
the
I'm in the
spotlight. I
looks
just
like
saw
I'm
your
in the
comment. I was
dark
reading.
out here. I kind of am in the dark. It's not as dark as it seems, I promise. I'm outside on the
You're
patio.
fine. You don't owe us anything. I'm just so glad you're here.
Sunset. Well, I just can't stand this. I'm a video professional. Come on. My lighting needs to be
So
much
funny.
better than what this is, but that's okay. We'll work
You're
with it.
off the clock, girl.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you guys a quick wild story. I hope you buckle your seatbelts if you're ready for it. I'll try to be brief because it is a little bit of a doozy, but
Okay. You don't
uh,
have to. You can literally take your time also.
well, so this is a recent incident that has happened in the last week or so, and hopefully, Brie, it might give you, I feel, I feel a lot of what you said, especially as I have really leaned into, I've always been a big proponent in understanding certain things about your personality as far as taking the personality tests, you know, Myers-Briggs, your Enneagram, look at your zodiac, do the work, your dosha, the whole nine yards. So I can go on and on about that. But all of that to say is that my Enneagram is not the number 9. I'm a 9 Enneagram with a one wing. And so in short, that means that I'm a peacekeeper. I love peace. And I didn't realize that that's what that was all along. I always thought it was just that I was a happy individual and I wanted others to be happy. And what's weird about that? Isn't everybody like that? But apparently not everybody is. And so that has in itself been a big game changer for me, and granted a sense of awareness that, like we were talking about at the beginning of the call, once you have awareness, it's kind of amazing what you can do with it. And so this last week, here's the story. I am the baby of my family. I have two older half brothers that live in different cities, and I live with my parents, who are, one of them is retired, the other one definitely should be, but we're like doing this thing where we're like, please don't ever retire because we don't want to know what that life is like. We like you working. Um, and I'm a bit of a caregiver to my folks. And so I don't often look at it as such because we have an impeccable relationship, but you know, there are days where I recognize what it is. And so this was one of those days last week where my mom had been out of town. She's a big world traveler, and so she'd gone for one of her many trips. And when she came back, she told us that we were going to do a big change to our cell phone arrangement plan. Like we were going to just revamp it. She had talked to somebody and she was real thrilled about it. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. I let her handle it, because, you know, that seemed like something, why not? And one thing leads to another, and she tells me that I'm getting a new phone. I'm gonna get a brand new upgrade on my phone. And then a day or two goes by, the phone comes in the mail along with an iPad that we weren't supposed to get. And um I go to activate it. She gives me this little post-it note that has a 800 number and a random name on it and says, call this number to activate, give them this code, should be good to go. I'm finding this whole thing a little bit weird because you know how some of you guys might have parents or family members that do things where it's like you start looking for signs or red flags that it's like, I love you, but I gotta keep an eye out for you because you never know, which is ironic because she's got a lot of experience with cybersecurity, so I wasn't too concerned. But I went ahead and I asked, I said, how did you come to meet this person? She goes, oh, well, I met him at the fair and he told me that he could hook me up. Anyway, long story short, this ends up being a scam. And I somehow got roped into it or was involved and was the one to say, hey, you know, this is a scam. They have now acquired enough information that they are actually inside of our our
Oh my
account
gosh.
and they're changing information. And this is like very serious, this has suddenly become a very serious incident. And I'm kind of spiraling. Um, you know, I'm going through the motions of like, you got to contact this person, and where did you get this information? Because I do have a lot of I have a lot of technological knowledge because of what I do. So I'm kind of I'm the IT person at my house. I'm the guardian for my parents. Um, Anyway, so I'm like losing my ish with my mom, and she's not seeming like she's taking anything that I suggest to do. She doesn't do it. She goes and she does her own thing, which is similar, but not the thing that I said to do. So I'm starting, I'm still like my spiraling only gets worse to a point that it becomes a conflict between the two of us. And she calls me out on it, and she says, like, Nothing I do is going to be the correct answer for you, is it? And when she said that, that's when it was like, it was almost like, you know, when you need somebody to smack you in the face, you know, like in
Yeah.
the movies, a good friendly slap in the face, kind of bring you back to the present. That's what that was for me, because then I realized what was happening was that I was having this my sense of security, which is part of being a 9 Enneagram. We want security, we want that constant peace. It was threatened. So of course I'm freaking out. Of course I'm doing everything in my possible, like everything I possibly can to try to mediate the situation and regain control over something that frankly was not my monkey to begin with. And so that's kind of once I was able to call to that, we talked it out a little bit, and I was able to express to her what because like I said, it was like a slap in the face. I was able to go, oh my gosh, you're absolutely right. You know, like I've told you all the things that I would recommend for this situation. You can take it, you can leave it, but at the end of the day, it is not me that is in danger. It's not my problem. It's your thing. And though I am bothered by it and I do feel threatened and I want the safety for you just as much as I want it for me, I have to recognize what is actually happening inside of me and what I'm needing for myself. And so, needless to say, this story ends with me going to the gym and playing a real good game of racquetball to take out my frustration and
That's
anger about
great.
scammers, stupid scammers. But
Mhm.
the just like I would really encourage, if you haven't already, you guys take your Enneagram quiz and find out where you fall in that spectrum, because it's extremely liberating to know that, to just to be able to check what some of those behaviors or those reactions are. Because for me, a lot of times I feel the emotion first, and then time goes by and I'm able to use hindsight to recognize what the emotion was. And sometimes I'm like, if only I had a different reaction. But you can only have reaction, like the appropriate reaction of in real time, if you have the awareness and are able to go, okay, this is what's happening to me in this moment. Okay, that's my story time. Hope you enjoyed.
Well, can I chat with you for a minute?
Yeah, of
Okay, cool.
course.
Well, first of all, wow, love the way that you're like processing through that now. Now, I don't know this and you don't have to share this as your private business, but have we discussed your neurodivergence? Are you
Yeah,
neurodivergent?
yeah, we have. Yeah, definitely.
Well, it is a trait, and not everybody has this of neurodivergent individuals, especially with ADHD, to have delayed processing of emotions. And so for you to experience something and then later have a okay, now I gotta whoa, okay, you're processing through it now, right? That's normal, very normal for your brain. I'll also say this much: when your amygdala, the threat center of your brain, lights up, you get into a state of whatever that may look like for you. So fight, flight, freeze, fawn. And the idea is, like you said, so Enneagram 9 is telling you already security is really important to you, but also as a human, like you're feeling threatened, whether we all think that it should be that way or not, or you look later and you think you weren't. That's also part of it. So like part of your prefrontal cortex, parts of your brain have shut down now because like all the energy is going to threat, but this is your like primal part of your brain. It's like stay alive, right? And so you're actually not even having access to making decisions in a way that is going to be aligned in your values. I mean, like the idea is like stay alive. So like your executive function, which if you have ADHD, can already be diminished in a lot of ways, right? Like not all the time, and it depends on what it is, but just saying, like, I just want to share with you too the biology of like what also is happening, just to normalize some of your experience too. Like it makes a lot of sense that there was a delay. And when you do experience emotional flooding, especially when fear is the driver, it makes a lot of sense that you go into protection mode. And also really cool that you were able to almost like hear that word and come back to yourself. And then hell yeah, can we just talk about celebrating the fact that you're like, honoring that your body had an experience and it was time to move that through, go play pickleball, go, like do something with this energy that's like in your body, and get yourself into a state where, one, you're honoring the energy in your body, you're giving yourself regulation techniques. I just got to say, like, holy shit, girl, you crushed that whole experience, and had this conversation with your mom where you're both like, I'm hearing you and I'm seeing your humanity and you're seeing mine. And like, now we have a better understanding. And
Like she could have easily, like that could have, well, and it's funny because as you were talking, it just occurred to me, how many of you ladies relate to this? I like had a flashback, Mo. Middle school girl fights were the worst, and a lot of
yeah.
times for me personally, if I'd never had beef with anybody. Um, Usually, if I was in a spat with somebody, it's because somehow, some way, I got involved, like as a mediator of some kind.
Oh my
And
gosh.
then, like, and again,
Yeah.
because of that protective fight or flight, that's what made me think of it, that protective instinct when you've got your clique, your girl tribe, and it's suddenly threatened in any way, shape, or form, you're going to throw out any logic that goes with the argument. You're just going to go
Yeah.
into that fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And get involved and make issues with people that you could have had a really nice relationship with, but because you didn't have the emotional awareness to regulate in that moment, like I was able to do. I was able to
Yeah.
have a very nice conversation with my mom and really explore how we respond to when our loved ones are threatened in truth, even if they're
Mm.
small threats.
Yes, preach. And also love the point about the mediator. How many times in our lives have we gotten involved in things that were like, we're just trying to help? We know we could make a difference if, first of all, energy drain. And then also, like, it's such a cost. And oh my gosh, Vicky, and we have a couple minutes and I promise we'll wrap up. Vicky and I were talking the other day and she shared something about like anything that also like it doesn't turn off for especially neurodivergent people, deeply feeling people. We continue to think about it and give energy to it, and so it's like the invisible labor of solving other people's problems bothers us. And so Sade said, I will not get in the crossfire of anyone's orchestrated drama consciously ever again. Yes. She also said, I retired from medication or mediation, not medication. I retired of mediation as a neurodivergent, which is going to save you a lot of pain. So like get some good energy from Sade here if you want more of that in your life. And then also Kathleen said, it lives in the brain for so long. What's with that? Part of that is rejection sensitivity. Part of that is the way that you process emotions, the depth of the way you feel. With each person, it's a little bit different. But the fact is, with especially with neurodivergent people, especially like when you converge the eldest daughter, the idea of caretaker, the idea of like, I know how to solve this problem. If I can put my good gold in this, I can save the day. It's not your day to save. Turns out you can just like walk off and let them deal with it. So I love that. I would just like to say, Ashley, we only have about a minute left. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing your story. What a great example. Do you have anything else you want to say before I pop you off of the spotlight?
Love you, ladies. Hope you all have a
Okay.
good one.
Gosh, I love you too, and thank you for being here. And Sade also said RSD is real but conquerable, and it really is. Especially when you think about all these things, all these really great things that are a part of who you've been in your life. They come from a really beautiful place a lot of times. And so, if you can reconnect with the intention of, what is driving me for real, what's at the heart of this, you can honor that rather than overgive. We have one last little share before we pop off. Sade would like to come on, and I'm going to put you in the spotlight. You don't have to share your video if you don't want, but I will put you in the spotlight.
Okay. I'm in the bathroom super late because of my elder daughter syndrome of it's not so much I have a lot on my plate, but I also have a low tolerance for things not getting done right.
Yes.
So I have that energy of, well, who's gonna do it? Or it can't just not be done. But as far as retiring from mediation, I had a really, not gonna say the long story, but kind of was used as a pawn last year between other people's beef due to my kind-heartedness or people just knowing I'm ever present in a lot of places and spaces. And what I'll say is, what helped me transform my boundary setting and what has now depleted my blanks to give to zero is that I had to start looking at myself as my inner child, as my 3-year-old self, being militant about protecting that young girl. So as we want to mediate for others and say, you know, what about this? What about that? You also have to have those same questions for you. And after so many times you get caught in the crossfire, you get tired of the bullet wounds, enough ends up being enough. So I always like to practice the exercise of, I don't physically have children, but I have to take care of myself. So in a way, I'm my own child.
Mm.
And the way I can repair that and I can heal that is I know that if I had physical kids, I definitely would be mama bear. I wouldn't play about them at all. I don't even play about my play nieces and nephews, right? So that's what we have to do when people often want to pull you in, interject, because, you know, neurodivergent people are multi-gifted. So we tend to be solution oriented. I have an understanding of why people reach out to folks like us and want us to be drawn in, but it's not worth. I think when you experience a season of truly being burnt out, like burnt to a crisp, you can never go back. So I just want to encourage everyone to consider your inner child, consider the little girl in you, protect her, no matter what that looks like. And if that means you have to come off as a villain to do that, so be it.
Now's the time. It's almost Scorpio season.
Oh
Burn
yeah,
it
that
down. Burn it
we
down.
don't got time, but yeah, literally burn it.
Literally, that's so funny. Scorched earth. I thank you for sharing that.
Also have the courage. It's tough because you spoke to what it looks like when your boundaries are violated constantly. That I've experienced the extreme version, and that's no contact, which led to extended time of isolation. However, that isolation led me to start growing more in love with myself, appreciating me time, realizing that I was always the sauce and the source. So I don't have to be codependent on anyone who was latching on to me with their energy vampirism. So let that also be the garlic to the energy vampires.
Oh my gosh, you are just like you need your own podcast. I just like I'm joking. I love it every time you share. That is so good, and especially the idea of like connecting with that version of you that has gone through isolation. When you stop doing all the things, it's like this is nice. I suddenly want to create art now, you know, when normally I'm just like so exhausted. I don't even care about my art, and then I hate my life and I feel disconnected. You know, it really like a season of isolation can help, because then when you start picking stuff up, you realize how much it weighs. So love that so much. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. It's 8:04 tonight. If you have anything that you want to share, we have the Facebook community. I have posted the podcast. I will be sending this video out and posting it on like podcast and also YouTube. So you'll get to see the video too. If you have anything you want to share, if we missed anything tonight, or if you feel really inspired in some way, the conversation doesn't have to stop. I will make a post on Facebook, but also just reach out to me. I'm mo@maincharactercoach.com. And so you're shaping this community. So like, I will literally like show up and facilitate whatever is on your heart, because this is what this is, you know? So thank you to my sister for connecting in a way with me this month, Brie, and joining me on the podcast. Thank you to everyone who shared tonight and everyone who came and poured in and also received, because you're allowed to just do that sometimes. and not always feel like you have to provide value, you know. Sade, thank you for closing us off. That was great. I just love you so much. If you need anything from me, I'm always here. One-to-one coaching. I have coaching spaces coming open in October, and then some juicy sauce to quote Sade. I got some sauce coming to you in November, so I can't wait to show you about that. But you'll be still getting newsletters. If there's any other support you need in your life, don't be afraid to ask for it. Reach out to me. We'll connect you. Also, reach out to the community. You'll be supported. That's everything from me. Does anyone have anything else? If not, I'm sending you so much love. Thank you for being here.
Check out the podcast.
Check out the podcast.
Sometimes to free your